When it comes to these stars, you don't need to see their faces to know who's talking. Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for another top 10 male actors with iconic voices.
You shall not pass!
For this list, we're looking at actors whose distinct style of speaking and vocal timbre make their voices unmistakable. Whether they're voicing a CGI character, an animated animal, a voice over a loudspeaker, or a live-action character, you always know it's them.
What's on the slab? I see you shiver with anticipation.
Number 10. Jack Nicholson.
Well, I've been accused of a lot of things before, Mrs. Mulray, but never that. Look, somebody's gone to a lot of trouble here, and lawsuit or no lawsuit, I intend to find out.
No one plays the sarcastic, combative outsider quite like this man. Jack's voice is hard to describe, but you know it when you hear it. And when he's playing one of his more twisted roles, like Jack Torrance in The Shining or the Joker in Batman, it has the ability to send chills down even the stiffest of spines.
Tell me something, my friend. You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight? What?
Somewhat nasal, high but raspy, and dripping with sardonic attitude, his voice has proven the perfect vessel for many an unforgettable line. As he's gotten older, as with so many of his contemporaries, Nicholson's voice has grown deeper and more gravelly. But even so, it remains unmistakably Jack's.
Here's Johnny!
Number 9. Liam Neeson.
Release the Kraken!
People with unremarkable voices don't get to play gods on screen. It takes a certain awe-inspiring quality to tackle these larger-than-life roles. Liam Neeson has not only played Zeus, but also lent his robust speaking voice to the lion god figure in the Chronicles of Narnia, Aslan.
Welcome, Susan and Lucy, daughters of Eve. And welcome to you, Beavers. You have my thanks.
Of course, it also works wonders for a benevolent monster or a villain. If you're ever lucky enough to have Liam Neeson call your house, there's pretty much zero chance you won't recognize him. Should that happen, you better hope he's calling for a good reason, because no one wants to hear that voice delivering this chilling speech.
But what I do have are a very particular set of skills. Skills I've acquired over a very long career. Skills that make me a nightmare for people like you.
Number 8. John Wayne.
You can't serve papers on a rat, baby sister. You gotta kill him or let him be.
When you think of Westerns, John Wayne is likely the first face that comes to mind. When you imagine the voice of a cowboy, well, his is likely the one you hear in your head too. As the story goes, Wayne once gave this little piece of advice to fellow actor Michael Caine. Quote, "Talk low, talk slow, and don't say too much." Looking across his filmography, it's a rule that Duke clearly lived by.
Bring them guns into that creek. I'm borrowing this wagon off of you.
He might have been given a name that's usually given to women, Marion, but his deep, commanding voice was about as masculine as they come.
We brought nothing into this world, and it's certain we can carry nothing out.
Number 7. Leonard Nimoy.
Evidently a civilization of high order. Rating number 7 on the industrial scale. Humanoid in appearance, according to the paintings.
Where does Spock begin and Leonard Nimoy end? In the early days of Star Trek, it may just have been a role, but over the decades, reality and fiction have blurred.
There are so few Vulcans left. We cannot afford to ignore each other.
The two shared so much in common that Nimoy's 2 autobiographies were both named after his pointy-eared alter ego. And in terms of speech patterns and vocal qualities, they are indeed one and the same. If you were to describe Nimoy's voice in one word, it would be gravitas. So much gravitas. Nimoy's voice was one that inspired trust and carried authority. He could say just about anything in that distinct delivery, and we would believe it.
He is brilliant, ruthless, and he will not hesitate to kill every single one of you.
Number 6. James Stewart.
Well, hello, Mr. Bank Examiner. How are you? Mr. Bailey, there's a deficit. I know, $8,000.
Few men have left a more lasting impression on the film industry than Jimmy Stewart. In fact, the American Film Institute has him ranked as the 3rd greatest male screen legend from that era of cinema. It's a Wonderful Life, Vertigo, Rear Window. He's got countless classic films under his belt, in which not only his acting talent, but also his distinct drawl are on display.
Oh, sweetie, you are. You have a great talent for creating difficult situations.
I do?
Sure.
Early in his film career, it was actually his voice that made him stand out. So much so, the comedians soon started doing impersonations of him. Though his unique voice has inspired countless imitators, no one has done it quite so well since.
One final thing I have to do, and then I'll be free of the past.
Number 5. Sam Elliott.
It's Crinsley you work with. You know who he really is?
He's the type of actor you don't even need to see to recognize, all thanks to his slow but deep southern drawl. Sure, he's got distinctive looks and a trademark mustache, but it's his voice, which got progressively lower and lower as he grew older, that really allowed Sam Elliott to stand out.
So, you here to talk me into shutting up? That what's in that case of yours?
Starting off as a character actor who often appeared in westerns as cowboys and ranchers, his resonant vocals and his acting chops had him playing alongside Tom Selleck in many TV movies and as the voice of several commercials. But he's also held his own in feature films, ultimately earning his first Oscar nod for Best Supporting Actor in 2018's A Star is Born. What a treat it would have been to hear him give his acceptance speech at the Dolby Theater had he won.
It's the only way to manage this thing, Jack. You're not going to get back what you lost.
Number 4. Patrick Stewart.
One curious thing, however, you refused to let him beam down to Altair 3.
The Star Trek franchise sure has a knack for picking lead actors with unique voices, doesn't it? You'd think that after Nimoy and Shatner, they'd just have accepted the fact that they'd set the bar too high and settled.
I have come on an urgent mission from the Federation. I'm looking for Ambassador Spock.
But then walks in Patrick Stewart, an English thespian with a background in theater who can monologue with the best of them. From Jean-Luc Picard to Professor Charles Xavier, Stewart has applied his distinctively soothing but powerful voice to many a rousing speech and delivered countless words of wisdom in times of cinematic need.
And I will always be there, old friend.
Number 3. Christopher Lee.
I must apologize for not being here to greet you personally, but I trust that you have found everything you needed.
We'll always remember him as Count Dracula, Count Dooku, and Saruman. And while his acting skills are undeniable, his characteristic and powerful voice is what helped cement him into pop culture.
As you see, my Jedi powers are far beyond yours. Now, back down.
But Christopher Lee wasn't just an actor. He was an author and a singer. Okay, that might not be much of a surprise if you've seen or heard him in, well, just about anything. Instead, it's just more evidence of his talents as a performer, as Lee recorded music in genres as different as opera and heavy metal. Despite having played many a villain, in real life, Lee was the type of man to be recognized by British royalty, and was in fact knighted for his services to drama and charity in 2009.
Who gave you the chance of aiding me willingly? But you have elected the way of pain!
Number 2. Sylvester Stallone.
You 10 years to come to my house. Huh? What's the matter? You don't like my house?
Sly has played a lot of roles over the years, and most of them share a few things in common. His characters are tough, they know how to fight, and they all have Sylvester Stallone's natural voice.
See, all I wanted to do out of fight was prove I was no bum, that I had the stuff to make a good pro, you know?
He doesn't really do accents, except, of course, his own.
Last chance. Let the hostages go, or you're out of there.
But there's more to it than that. When Stallone was born, the use of forceps by the medical staff reportedly left his face partially paralyzed. For some, that might have been a source of self-consciousness and a reason to avoid the limelight, but not for Stallone. He's taken his distinctive voice and speech and owned it. When Sly speaks, people take notice.
But I think he'd be proud knowing that we're back as a team. I'm in.
How many of these actors do you do impressions of? Actually, speaking of that, if there's a male voice you think should be on this list but isn't, be sure to check out our first list on the topic. Anyway, number 1 is one bad mofo, so let's listen to our honorable mentions and then we'll see who's at the top spot.
There are bad days. And then there are legendary bad days.
A census taker once tried to test me. I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
I'm not what is called a civilized man, Professor. I have done with society for reasons that seem good to me. Therefore, I do not obey its laws.
It's the famous bat signal flashed from the roof of police headquarters. Batman and Robin must be racing there now in response to it.
Somebody was just moving all the way through me, moving my arms, moving my hands, talking for me. I mean, I feel like I'm going crazy, Charlie.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Samuel L. Jackson.
What does Marcellus Wallace look like? What? What country you from? What ain't no country I ever heard of? They speak English and what?
There isn't another actor in the world who can deliver a line with attitude and intensity quite like Samuel L. Jackson.
And I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger those who attempt to poison and destroy my brothers.
His voice has this deep, low, resonating quality to it, which adds a certain gravitas to whatever role he's tackling. He knows how to make words pop, increasing the volume in all the right places to ensure that the delivery is always entertaining.
You think you're the only superhero in the world? Mr. Stark, you become part of a bigger universe. You just don't know it yet.
Then, of course, there's that distinct little trick he does where he ups the pitch of certain syllables throughout a sentence. He's delivered countless memorable lines over the years, but we can't help but wonder, would those lines have made such a lasting impression had they been delivered by someone else?
Enough is enough! I have had it with these snakes on this plane!
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.